Hi, welcome back to Cheyenne, Wyoming Urban Gardener. We're taking a look out here right now at the strawberries. These are the strawberries that are in the converted kiddie pool that we just put some soil into, drilled some holes or poked some holes in the bottom of the kiddie pool for drainage, and it has worked amazingly well. And we have some really beautiful, nice big strawberries in here. And we are getting more that are coming on. They are blooming like crazy. You can see some small strawberries that are starting down in there. Just look how healthy, just gorgeous these strawberries are. And we have tons and tons of runners that have set new plants. In fact, we've got runners now going up on the sides of the cage because we have to put the cage over to keep birds out. Anyway, let's look at those. And I'm thinking about going ahead and opening this up so we can get some more bees in here, get some pollination going, because I've seen less and less strawberries on here since we've had to put the cage on. So I might go ahead and open this up and see what happens. We still have lots of bird pressure and bug pressure going on right now against strawberries, but I'm not having anything happening to my strawberries that are out on the other side of the house. So maybe, just maybe, whatever was attacking these has moved on. But anyway, just absolutely gorgeous plants. I'm going to go ahead and get this closed for now. And we have the runners actually going outside of the cage now and have started rooting into the ground, which I'm not really too unhappy with. If they want to try to make it outside of the cage and do that, they are just fine to do so. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and have a tour around the garden yet again because it is daylight right now. Not very early morning, more towards 11 a.m., which you probably will not be seeing this video until later this evening. But anyway, everything is growing wonderfully. Still have the azaleas in the pots. Just working on getting those nice and healthy and strong before we get those into the ground. And we've still got that zucchini, actually 3 zucchinis out here. And we are getting quite a nice second run of zucchini on these plants right now. You can see that one there doing wonderfully. And I think we've got some smaller ones that are coming on in different places. Anyway, that turned out being a zucchini. It was supposed to have originally been the jack-o'-lantern, and we're over on the north side of the house because that's where we have the kiddie pool with the strawberries, and we have the rhododendron and the azaleas because we've been trying to get something to grow over here on this north side, and it looks like we have figured out the right combination so far. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the main part of the garden. All right, now we're over here looking at the butternut squash that I planted along the outer edge of this shaded area near where our bird feeders and backside of the pumpkins and some of our other plants are. We've got the blueberries and raspberry and blackberry out here. And I'm considering actually just putting those in large containers since I know that the containers work okay. So I'm just considering doing that. I'm just pondering it and looking at a bunch of research on it. Anyway, we do have a butternut squash that is setting in here. I will hand pollinate it just to make sure that it does get pollinated. And the other ones are coming on as well. And again, these all came out of one butternut squash that was an organic butternut that I had saved from one that I had purchased at the grocery store. And turns out that seems like that there was a mixture of bush variety and a running variety in that same squash, because this is the same squash, same seed, and we've got bush variety butternut here and a running variety back there. So pretty interesting stuff. Anyway, we have the rhubarb over here, and I did cut a couple of the stalks off so I can go ahead and make a strawberry rhubarb pie. And this is the backside of the 3 zucchini plants that I have in this section, as well as the jack-o'-lantern. And we do have more jack-o'-lanterns that have set onto the plants. That was what we could not see when I gave you the last update. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at that right now. All right, we have one right there. And one over here, which is strangely yellow. I've not had that happen before. So maybe some cross-pollination going on there. I'm not sure. But either way, it'll be nice. I don't mind it. And we have another one in here. Kind of hard to see. We've got some leaves in the way, and that one got a little damaged from those magpies that we're visiting, which now seem to have moved on. So that one will start getting a lot bigger. It's already gotten a lot bigger in just a couple of days. And then of course there's the original jack-o'-lantern, and now you can see some of the spots and color that are coming on it. And it basically, they start out like that and then turn completely orange when they are ready to pull. Nice healthy plant. And I just keep trimming off any of the dead leaves that happen on these. And then of course this is the zucchini. And I do have a zucchini in there, but it is hard to see right now. I think I had to go on the other side to take a look at it. Anyway, and of course all of the flowers still doing beautifully. I did have one die off in this pot over here to the right side, and I did go ahead and get that pulled out because it did die off. That was a viola, and at this point having violas last this long is pretty unusual. But I do still have some purple ones in this one. Anyway, and here's all the kale and kohlrabi. Still doing amazing. And the beets in front of it, I do have some nice sized beets down in there, as you can see right there. But I'm just waiting for them to get a little bit larger before I pull them. Then of course we have the mustard greens here and the turnip back here. And I'm getting ready to harvest those. I mentioned it in the last video. I haven't done so as yet. Getting ready to harvest those and just cut them up and make some mixed greens and get those canned up. And I will be pulling some of the leaves off the kohlrabi as well to do that. And then all of the mint. This is the mint that originally started out as a hydroponic and was a rescue because they had them marked down at King Soopers, which is the grocery store option here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. We have King Soopers, Safeway, or Walmart, and I picked this up at King Soopers. It was on a markdown special for $1.49, and I went ahead and planted it. Most people say you can't do that with hydroponics, but that's what I did, and it looks beautiful. And we have the chocolate mint, the peppermint, the lemon mint, rosemary, and a sweet mint over here. And I did cut a lot of the sweet mint out. That's why you see it looking kind of raggedy right now. We do have some younger ones coming on, as you can see there, which will take the place of the ones that I did cut off. And we've got some blooming going on this one, and also on the chocolate mint. So those are still looking beautiful, and it's a whopping 90 degrees out here right now. So it's a little hot for me, and tomorrow we're supposed to be down in the 70s, so it is going to change up a little bit, but it's supposed to go back up into the lower 80s and upper 80s for the rest of the next 2 weeks. So we still have plenty of time with warm temperatures to keep the melons and things happy, and cucumbers. And by the way, I am now getting cucumbers. I mentioned in the last video that I had a few. Now I have quite a lot that are coming on. So thank you for everyone for those prayers on the cucumbers, because I have not had cucumbers in 2 seasons now due to it just being too cool in the evenings, I think, for the cucumbers to come on. And now we have loads of them. I'm going to be doing some pickling, I am sure. So anyway, that is the second run of carrots that we have. We still got a couple of the older ones in here, but for the most part the old ones have been harvested and were very nice long carrots, nice thick carrots. Was very happy with those. And now we have a second run coming on, and I will need to get in there and thin those pretty soon. And my fuchsia plants are still doing amazing. Loads and loads and loads of blooms. Gorgeous, gorgeous plants. And this was the cutting that I took off of an original older fuchsia. Is just gorgeous. And I did plant some basil in there to fill out some of that, and just to get some more basil going before cold weather hits. The dianthus is now seeding up, and we have seeds coming on for the coriander or cilantro, whichever area that you're in. To me it's coriander. So we do have seeds happening on those. You can see the seed pods right there. And I will just let this continue to go on to seed and collect the seed on that for next season. I think I'm going on the 4th season now of coriander. I did move my long pots over here so I could get some more blooms on my pansies and marigolds and things, and that worked. We've got loads and loads of blooms happening here. My lemon balm is all filled out completely, and I need to trim that back because it is getting ready to go to seed. Trim it back and get that dried. These are the sunflowers that I had just thrown some extra seeds that I had over here in this little strip of soil. It's not very wide, but worked just fine. We've got some sunflowers going on here, and I just kept the Virginia creeper pulled back, which I need to get back in there and trim some out. And I think we're going to be removing this vine, the Virginia creeper vine, in the fall, and trying to keep it at bay for the next season because it just cuts out so much light through here that we do need for the garden. So all of that going on. We do have some nice big rutabagas that are setting now in my rutabaga patch. So I'm not sure if you can see that down in there, but we do have some really nice rutabagas that are setting in these, and you can see it as a nice large patch of rutabagas. You don't need very many of these for them to go a long way, because they do get so large. They are basically like a turnip, milder, but get much bigger. In the UK they're called swede, and they are used quite often for Cornish pasties and stews and soups and things like that. So looking forward to those. We've got our cabbages coming on. This was the second run of cabbages. We've got heads forming now. As you can see down in there, we've got 3 cabbages here on the outer edge of our beets, which we have loads of beets in there, and the younger ones are now beginning to form heads. Older ones have heads on them. And then we have 2 cabbage there in the back, also forming heads. And then 1 over in behind the zucchini, which I keep trying to cut the zucchini fronds back so I can keep that getting some light in there. The Swiss chard are coming on. They have thinned themselves out till they're down to only a few plants and stalks that are coming on. And the onions still looking amazing. Everything's still looking really, really great. But at this time of the year, when you get into the later part of August, middle August, you start seeing some, I wouldn't call it disease. A lot of people will say disease on plants. It is not disease. It's just age. The plants are not supposed to last the entire through the year. So at some point they start just dying back, and that's what you see a lot of times. So I don't agree with a lot of those gardening channels out there, the larger gardening channels that'll say, oh, you know, they've been in here for a few months now, so they're getting diseased. They're not getting diseased, they're just going to the end of their life. So they start browning and things like that. So we're getting to that stage. We've got some browning going on in here in some areas, not in this particular area, but in others. These are the broccoli that I had brought from the back part of the garden up to the front because they were getting shaded out, and so we're now getting a nice big broccoli head on there. It's just started, so it's still kind of small, but we are definitely getting a broccoli head on that one. And I don't think we've started anything on this one yet, but it'll be soon, I'm sure. And we do have plenty of those white acorn squash that are coming on. You see one right there. And there's several more in there. Cocoselle squash in the back, still doing amazing. That's what's shading out that cabbage back there. And we have our sunflowers, which are probably getting close to at least 15 feet tall at this point. They are just growing by leaps and bounds. Huge plants. Still no cauliflower, and I mentioned that in the last video. So I don't know, I may just leave them in here, see if anything happens to the very last minute, because they're not taking up any room that I actually need. And we do have our lettuce in here that I talked about, that had some crisping edges, has pulled out of that now and is definitely putting on some nice big romaine lettuce heads, as you can see through there. I'm going to have to get back in there and cut out some of those cauliflower fronds because they're kind of shading some things out, and don't want that to happen, so I'll get in there and trim those back some more. They have definitely put on a lot of growth. Cauliflower has continued to grow through the whole season, but it just has not put on heads. And I think I may go with a different variety next season, something a little bit more hardy, and see where we go from there. But we have our still smaller broccoli plant. The broccoli right here is still getting shaded out a lot, so I'm not sure if it'll make anything because it just keeps getting shaded, but I'll keep working with it and see what happens. We have plenty of zucchini going on in our zucchini plants here. Of course, we've got the Genovese, and we got the dark green zucchini, and oh goodness, we have so many zucchini through here, and I've lost the labels at this point that I'm just not keeping up with them. I think there's gray zucchini in here as well, and I do see a nice big zucchini back there in the Genovese. So you can see the Genovese right there is producing a zucchini if you look down toward the base. Anyway, looking beautiful. Got the zucchini there. Got beautiful purple bell peppers here. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. And we have 2 of those purple bell plants that are just absolutely loaded. Giant Marconi is loaded. And the bell pepper that came out of the bell pepper seed that I had saved from a store-bought is producing a bell pepper now. Let me see if I can zoom in on that because I can't really get in the garden anymore. So you can see that there. Looking beautiful. So yes, you can start seed from your produce you get from the store. Just save your seed. Saves you a lot of money, a lot of hassle. So yellow straight neck squash. I have a yellow straight neck squash plant here that has so many on it that is just amazing, the amount of squash that are on this plant, and it is just going like crazy. And so same with all of the others as well. Maybe not quite as many as this one up front, but just amazing. And then we have loads and loads and loads of pole beans that are on these plants getting ready to be picked because they are needing to be picked at this point. I have a gallon bag in the house in the refrigerator full, and then I probably have another 2 gallons easy on these plants right now that I'm going to have to pick. So it's going to be pickling beans and canning beans time. So anyway, the calendula has bloomed. Didn't really get a chance to do much of a video on that, but they are just looking absolutely gorgeous. You can see those beautiful blooms there. We've got yellows and oranges, and even almost a limey type yellow right here. Beautiful, beautiful blooms. And we've got loads and loads of blooms coming on in these. And I basically just have these planted on the very edge of the garden, as you can see here, almost right into the grass. And they are just absolutely gorgeous. So happy with those. The peas now have their 3rd run of peas on. I've got 2 quart bags full in my fridge right now that we've been eating on of pods and peas, and this time I'm letting them go to having full-size peas in the shells, which I'll be shelling. But we still are going to save the shells because they're still edible for other things. But anyway, absolutely gorgeous peas in there. Beautiful, beautiful plants. And the lettuce in the back of the green beans and peas is gorgeous. I think that's probably the prettiest lettuce that I have ever grown. Just absolutely beautiful in there. Gorgeous. Anyway, we'll go ahead and start part 2 on this video.